When I first set foot in Hollywood, I was told, you can't be a leading man, an Asian hero, impossible. They said my accent was too thick, my style too unorthodox, my presence too unconventional. But I didn't come to Hollywood to fit into a mold. I came to break it. I have always believed that the greatest barriers in life are not physical but mental. People build walls in their minds, rules about what is possible, what is acceptable, what is traditional. My life's work was about smashing those walls, not just in martial arts, but in film business and even relationships. Let me show you how. In Hollywood, Asian actors were given two choices: play the silent servant or the wise old sage. Warriors in American films were either stiff and robotic or completely absent. I refused to be either. I refused to be invisible. When I auditioned for a leading role in the television series Kung Fu, a show I helped inspire, they told me, an American audience isn't ready for an Asian lead. Instead, they gave my role to a white actor. Did I accept it? No. I turned my rejection into power. I didn't wait for opportunities, I created them. I took a camera, wrote my own scripts, and started making short films showing my true fighting philosophy. I went back to Hong Kong and made The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, Way of the Dragon, and Enter the Dragon. These weren't just films, they were a revolution. They showcased martial arts not as a gimmick, but as an art form, a philosophy. And when Hollywood saw what I had built overseas, they had no choice but to recognize me. Enter the Dragon became a global phenomenon, proving that authenticity, intensity, and breaking barriers were what the world was hungry for. My lesson to you: when the world refuses to give you a stage, build your own. Do not wait for permission to break barriers. Shatter them yourself. I didn't just break barriers in film. I revolutionized martial arts training itself. The traditional schools clung to rigid techniques, outdated drills, and forms passed down without question. I questioned everything. I saw martial arts as water, adaptable, ever-changing, free. That is why I created Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. It wasn't a new style. It was an anti-style, a philosophy of constant refinement, constant questioning, constant improvement. I studied boxing, fencing, wrestling, and Wing Chun, merging what worked, discarding what didn't. The world resisted at first. This is not how martial arts should be taught, they said. But soon, fighters, actors, and even world champions sought my training. They saw the results. They felt the power of adaptability. But I wasn't just a martial artist. I was an entrepreneur. My martial arts schools, my books, my philosophy, they were built on my vision of a world that embraced change, not tradition for tradition's sake. I taught that business is not about following what already exists. It is about creating something new. The greatest entrepreneurs are not those who work within the system, but those who redefine it. My lesson to you: innovation is destruction. Destroy what is outdated. Break free from traditions that no longer serve you. Build something that no one else has imagined. I did not just challenge stereotypes in film or business. I shattered them in my personal life as well. I married Linda, a Caucasian woman, at a time when interracial marriage was still controversial. People told us, you will never be accepted. But love is not a matter of race, and I refused to let society's prejudice dictate my heart. I also broke cultural barriers in teaching. In the 1960s, Chinese martial artists believed Kung Fu should only be taught to Chinese students. They saw me as a traitor for teaching Westerners. They challenged me to a fight, saying, if I lost, I must stop teaching non-Chinese students. Did I stop? No. I fought. I won, and I continued to teach, because I believe knowledge belongs to those who seek it, not those who guard it out of fear. I welcomed all students, black, white, Asian, Hispanic. I trained Chuck Norris, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Steve McQueen, and James Coburn. To me, the only thing that mattered was dedication and the willingness to grow. My lesson to you, love, knowledge, and truth do not belong to one race, one culture, or one tradition. They belong to those who are brave enough to claim them. You see, all of these barriers, Hollywood's rejection, martial arts dogma, racial divisions, had one thing in common. They were all illusions. The only real barrier is in your mind, the belief that you are limited, that you cannot change, that you must accept the world as it is. This is the greatest lie. I did not allow others to define me. I refused to be confined by stereotypes, traditions, or even my own fears. And because of that, I changed film, I changed martial arts, I changed lives. So I ask you, what barriers are holding you back? Is it fear, tradition, other people's expectations, yourself? You must break them, smash them with the force of truth and action. The world will tell you to stay in your place. Do not listen. Define your own place. Create your own path. That is the way of no limits. That is the way of true freedom. That is the way of the dragon. Now I leave you with this challenge. Look at your life. Find one barrier, just one, that you have accepted as unbreakable. Maybe it's a career you think you can't have, a skill you believe you can't learn, a dream you have been told is impossible. I remember a young student, eager, determined, full of fire. He came to me saying, "Sifu, teach me everything. Every technique, every strike, every secret of martial arts." I watched him train, saw the way he moved. He was drowning in excess. Too many moves, too much tension, too many thoughts. He had been taught that mastery was about knowing more, collecting more, doing more. But I saw the truth. He didn't need more. He needed less. So I did something unexpected. I didn't teach him another move. I took things away. For weeks, I stripped his techniques down to the simplest movements. No flashy kicks, no elaborate sequences. Just direct, pure action. At first, he was frustrated. "Why are you taking away my techniques?" he asked. I told him, because understanding isn't about accumulation, it's about elimination. Most people believe success comes from addition. They think the more knowledge they gather, the more techniques they learn, the more titles they earn, the greater they become. But this is an illusion. Knowledge is like a block of marble. If you want to create a masterpiece, you don't add more stone, you chisel away what doesn't belong. This is the essence of Jeet Kune Do. Not a style, but a way of eliminating what is useless, keeping only what is essential. In combat, complexity is weakness. A fighter who memorizes 1,000 techniques but hesitates for a split second is already defeated. The mind must be free, not cluttered with options. That is why I teach, not how to add, but how to subtract. When I first studied martial arts, I was trained in structured forms, in fixed patterns. But real combat does not follow patterns. Life does not follow patterns. In a real fight, no opponent moves the way your training partner does. There is no script, no perfect stance. So why chain yourself to rigid forms? I broke free from traditional styles because they imprisoned the mind. Forms are useful only to a point. Beyond that, they become a cage. True mastery is when you move without thought, when action and reaction become one. That is why I say, absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own. This principle is not just for fighting, it is for life itself. Look around you. People fill their minds with distractions, their schedules with meaningless tasks, their lives with unnecessary burdens. They mistake busyness for progress. They chase after things they do not need, thinking happiness lies in accumulation, more money, more possessions, more recognition. But have you ever seen a tree struggle to grow by adding more branches? No. A tree grows by shedding dead leaves, by cutting away what drains its energy. You must do the same. Simplify. Remove what does not serve you. Only then will you grow stronger, faster, freer. People ask, What is the most effective technique? I tell them the simplest one. When I developed the straight lead punch, I refined it to be the fastest, most direct path to the target. No wasted motion, no unnecessary effort, just pure efficiency. This is the secret. Simplicity is the key to brilliance. You see it in the greatest minds, the greatest artists. A master painter does not clutter his canvas with unnecessary strokes. A master musician does not play extra notes just to impress. They have learned the power of restraint, of removing everything except what is absolutely necessary. But here is the greatest challenge. Elimination is painful. The ego resists it. People cling to what they have learned because it makes them feel powerful. Letting go of techniques, of ideas, of beliefs. It feels like losing, but it is not loss. It is refinement. I had to eliminate much to evolve. I discarded rigid styles, rejected blind tradition, even left behind roles in Hollywood that did not align with my vision. I refused to let my identity be shaped by what others expected. Instead, I shaped myself. You must have the courage to do the same, to strip away the unnecessary, to challenge what you think you know, to remove everything that does not push you forward. Be like water, my friend. Water is formless, shapeless. You put it in a cup, it becomes the cup. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can flow, or it can crash. This is not just a lesson in martial arts, it is a lesson in life. Too many people resist change. They cling to what they know, afraid to adapt, afraid to transform. But success does not come from rigidity. It comes from fluidity, from the ability to move through obstacles, to adjust, to become what is necessary in the moment. Life will not move according to your plans. It will test you, push you, try to break you. If you are stiff, you will crack. If you resist, you will shatter. But if you are like water, you will move with the current, not against it. When I arrived in America, I was met with barriers. I wanted to teach martial arts to everyone, but many in the traditional martial arts community opposed me. They believed knowledge should only be shared within their own culture. They wanted to keep it locked away. I had a choice: fight them with anger, or flow past them with action. I chose to be like water. I taught whoever was willing to learn. I didn't ask for permission. I moved forward. That is the power of adaptability. That is the power of water. Water does not complain about the rock in its path. It does not try to break it. It simply finds a way around. That is how you must approach obstacles in your own life. When Hollywood rejected me, they told me I was too different, that my accent was too thick, that America was not ready for an Asian leading man. I could have accepted their judgment. I could have become bitter, but instead I adapted. I flowed around the barrier. I did not wait for them to create opportunities. I created my own. I developed my own philosophy, trained harder, spoke clearer, made myself undeniable. Eventually, the world had no choice but to notice. That is what you must do. Turn rejection into fuel. Turn obstacles into stepping stones. One of the greatest mistakes people make is holding on to what no longer serves them. Fear, doubt, past failures. These things weigh you down, making it harder to move forward. Water does not hold on to the past. It does not cling to the shore. It moves forward, always. If you wish to succeed, you must learn to let go of anything that does not support your journey. In combat, if you hesitate, if you dwell on the last move, you are already defeated. The same is true in life. Let go of what holds you back. Flow forward. Most people fear uncertainty. They want everything to be predictable, safe, controlled. But true mastery comes from embracing the unknown. Water does not fear the ocean. It does not fear the depths. It flows into the unknown with confidence. Do not be afraid of what you cannot control. Do not let fear stop you from taking risks. Success is not found in comfort. It is found in movement, in action, in pushing beyond what you think is possible. Be flexible, yet powerful. Be soft, yet unstoppable. Be patient, yet relentless. If you can learn to move with life instead of against it, there is nothing you cannot achieve. So I ask you, how will you approach your challenges? Will you resist, allowing obstacles to break you, or will you flow around them, using them to grow stronger? Be like water, my friend, and you will never be defeated. You must empty your cup before you can fill it. When I first began my journey in martial arts, I was obsessed with techniques. I wanted to master everything. I learned over 200 moves, each one intricate, each one seemingly necessary. But I discovered something most never do. True mastery isn't about accumulation. It's about elimination. At first, I thought knowledge was power. The more techniques I knew, the better I would be. But in combat, I saw a different reality. When the moment came, I didn't have time to think about which technique to use. Complexity became hesitation. Hesitation became weakness. And weakness, well, weakness gets you defeated. I realized something. Simplicity is not the opposite of skill. It is the highest form of skill. A master doesn't need 200 techniques. He needs a handful of techniques executed with absolute precision. So I started stripping away everything that wasn't essential. Every movement had to serve a purpose. Every action had to be effective. What remained was not less, it was more. Most people chase knowledge. They believe success comes from adding more possessions, more skills, more achievements. But the truth is, success comes from removing the unnecessary. I applied this principle not just to martial arts, but to my entire life. Look at my movie. When I entered Hollywood, they wanted me to be a sidekick, a supporting character. They told me to play stereotypical roles. But I eliminated everything that didn't serve my vision. I refused to be anything but my true self. I simplified my approach. Be undeniable, be authentic, be irreplaceable. The same applies to business. Many believe success comes from complicated strategies and endless planning. But the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest leaders, they don't focus on doing everything. They focus on doing the essential thing. They eliminate distractions and perfect what truly matters. I developed Jeet Kune with one purpose: efficiency. No wasted movement, no unnecessary techniques, just direct, explosive, unstoppable force. Life should be the same. Strip away what doesn't serve you: fear, doubt, overthink. Keep only what makes you powerful. One day, my student asked me, "Master Lee, how do I become faster, more powerful?" What I said is, don't add more. Remove what slows you down. Drop excess tension. Stop trying to be impressive. Focus on what works. When you remove the unnecessary, speed and power come naturally. This applies to success, to relationships, to everything. Most people complicate things. They overthink, overplan, overcommit. They chase distractions, thinking they are opportunities. But simplicity is the key. Know what you truly want. Focus only on that. Eliminate the rest. Many will hear this lesson, but few will apply it. It's easy to add. It's hard to subtract. To simplify takes courage. It means letting go of illusions, of unnecessary complexity, of comfort. But when you do, you become unstoppable. Never settle. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you begin to decline. The greatest enemy of mastery isn't failure. It's comfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers that you've done enough, that you can rest, that you no longer need to push forward. But mastery is not a destination. It is a process, a journey without end. The instant you stop evolving, you begin to stagnate. And stagnation, my friend, is death to progress. When I was young, I believed in learning everything. I absorbed techniques, theories, and philosophies from every source I could find. But I quickly discovered that knowing is not the same as understanding. And understanding is not the same as doing. Many so-called masters knew vast amounts of information, but lacked the ability to apply it fluidly. They clung to tradition without question, never adapting, never growing. I refused to be like them. I refused to settle. Evolution requires destruction. To grow into something greater, you must first strip away what is unnecessary. In my martial arts journey, I began with traditional styles. I trained in Wing Chun, studied various forms of Kung Fu, and examined the rigid structures of combat systems. But I saw their limitations. Techniques were being taught without questioning their effectiveness. Movements were being preserved for tradition's sake, not for their practicality. So I eliminated what was useless and kept only what worked. This was the birth of Jeet Kune Do, a way not bound by form but guided by efficiency, a martial art that evolved constantly, adapting to reality rather than conforming to outdated principles. This principle applies to every aspect of life, not just combat, in business, in relationships, in personal development. Stagnation leads to irrelevance. Look at industries that failed to innovate. Companies that were once giants became obsolete because they settled into comfort. They believed they had mastered their craft, but the world moved on without them. The same applies to individuals. The moment you stop questioning, stop learning, stop refining yourself, you begin your decline. You must constantly evolve, shedding old limitations and embracing new possibilities. The key to continuous evolution is self-examination. Every day ask yourself, what is holding me back? What beliefs, habits, or fears are keeping me from progressing? You must be ruthless in eliminating what no longer serves you. Do not hold on to ideas simply because they are familiar. Do not repeat patterns simply because they have worked in the past. The world changes. You must change with it. When I trained, I never allowed myself to rely on past victories. What I accomplished yesterday was irrelevant. Each day I had to prove myself again. This is why I constantly pushed the limits of my body and mind. I studied philosophy to expand my thinking. I practiced new combat techniques to refine my skills. I tested my ideas against real opponents, never accepting theory without proof. This mindset is what allowed me to break barriers not just in martial arts, but in film, in business, in life. People often ask me, Bruce, how do I stay motivated? The answer is simple: never become satisfied. The hunger for growth must outweigh the comfort of complacency. The moment you feel content, remind yourself that there is always another level. There is always more to refine, more to learn, more to achieve. True mastery is not about reaching the top. It is about continuously climbing higher, even when others have stopped. Some believe that constant evolution is exhausting, that it requires endless struggle. This is a misunderstanding. Growth is not suffering. It is liberation. It is the joy of discovery, the excitement of unlocking new potential, the thrill of becoming something greater than you were before. To evolve is to truly live. Stagnation is what brings suffering, because it traps you in a cycle of repetition and decay. Look at water. Water is never still. It moves, it flows, it adapts. If it is trapped, it becomes stagnant and life, but when it moves, it remains pure, full of energy and force. Be like water, my friend. Never settle. Never accept limits as final. Always seek the next horizon, the next challenge, the next transformation. Some people fear change. They cling to what is familiar, even when it no longer serves them. But fear is an illusion. The only real fear should be the fear of staying the same. If you are the same person today that you were 5 years ago, you have wasted 5 years. Growth is the purpose of life. Every day is an opportunity to refine yourself, to strip away weakness, to build something stronger, faster, sharper. You must cultivate an experimental mindset. Try new things. Challenge your own assumptions. Do not be afraid to fail. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Every mistake teaches you something. Every obstacle reveals a weakness that can be strengthened. The only true failure is refusing to grow. Understand this: comfort is a trap. The moment you feel comfortable, push yourself further. If your training is easy, make it harder. If your thinking is predictable, challenge it. If your routines are effortless, change them. Growth exists at the edge of your abilities, not within the safety of what you already know. When I trained, I did not seek easy victories. I sought the toughest opponents, the hardest challenges, the most grueling tests, because only in struggle do you find your true strength. Only in adversity do you discover what you are truly capable of. Do not avoid difficulty. Seek it out. It is the furnace that forges mastery. In relationships, never settle for mediocrity. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, who inspire you, who push you to be better. Do not waste time with those who drain your energy, who keep you stagnant, who discourage your growth. Your environment shapes you. Choose it wisely. In business, never settle for what worked yesterday. Innovate. Adapt. Be willing to destroy your own successes to build something greater. Do not fear reinvention. Embrace it. The world rewards those who evolve, not those who cling to the past. Above all, in life, never settle for anything less than your highest potential. You have within you an unlimited capacity for growth, but it is up to you to cultivate it. No one else can do it for you. No one else can push you to evolve. The responsibility is yours. So, my friend, I leave you with this challenge. Look at your life. Identify where you have settled. Where have you accepted comfort over growth? Where have you allowed yourself to plateau? Now, make a decision. Choose to evolve. Choose to push forward. Choose to never settle. Because the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who fade into mediocrity is not talent. It is not luck. It is the willingness to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep evolving. No, understanding without application is just philosophy. Application without understanding is just movement. True mastery lies in the unity of thought and action. Too often, people separate the two. They believe that thinking deeply about something is enough to master it. Or they swing to the other extreme, repeating a movement mindlessly, hoping repetition alone will bring mastery. Both approaches are incomplete. Real mastery comes only when thought and action become one. I learned this lesson through combat. Early in my martial arts journey, I studied techniques, strategies, and philosophies with relentless intensity. I understood the principles of speed, timing, and power. But in a fight, knowledge alone was useless. I saw fighters who had never studied philosophy move with raw instinct and overpower those who could recite combat theory flawlessly. And I saw strong fighters who lacked understanding become predictable, their movements robotic, lacking depth. That's when I realized knowing and doing must be inseparable. In 1969, I was teaching a student about interception, the ability to cut off an opponent's movement before they could strike. I explained the theory in detail for over an hour. He nodded, understanding everything intellectually. Then we sparred. The moment combat started, none of his knowledge translated into action. He hesitated. He analyzed instead of reacting. That was when it became clear to me, knowledge that is not embodied is useless. From that moment on, I developed a method to unite thought and action instantly. First, instantaneous testing. Any idea, no matter how brilliant it seems, must be tested in reality immediately. I never allowed theories to remain theories. When I thought of a new movement, I got up and applied it on a bag in shadow boxing against an opponent. If it didn't work, it was discarded. If it worked, it was refined. No delay, no hesitation. The gap between thinking and doing had to be zero. Second, I trained myself and my students to think with the body. This meant that every movement had to express a principle, and every principle had to manifest physically. For example, the idea of non-telegraphic movement, the ability to strike without revealing intent. Instead of just explaining it, I designed drills where students had to strike while watching themselves in a mirror, ensuring no unnecessary movement gave away their intentions. Understanding was built through doing. The third step was the reality check system. I designed a process that ensured knowledge and action evolved together. State your understanding clearly. If you cannot explain it simply, you do not truly understand it. Demonstrate it physically, immediately. No delays, no waiting. Test it under pressure. A technique that works only in theory is worthless. It must succeed in real conditions. Refine both understanding and execution simultaneously. The mind adjusts, the body adapts, and the cycle repeats. By following this system, every training session became a fusion of mind and body, thought and action. There was no time wasted in overthinking without doing, and no movement wasted without meaning. This is why my martial art, Jeet Kune Do, is not just about fighting. It is about a way of being. The ability to think and act as one is the highest form of mastery. This principle extends beyond martial arts. In life, many people fall into the trap of endless learning without action. They read books, attend seminars, gather knowledge, but never apply it. Others dive into action without reflection, repeating the same mistakes because they lack deeper understanding. Neither approach leads to mastery. Mastery is when your thoughts flow effortlessly into action, and your actions refine your thoughts in real time. When you think, you must. When you move, you must think. There is no separation. This is true not just in combat, but in business, relationships, and personal growth. Most people train their bodies, but they neglect their minds. They believe strength is built only through muscle, speed only through movement. But true power, real unshakable strength, begins in the mind. Your body follows where your mind leads. If your mind is weak, your technique will crumble under pressure. If your mind is undisciplined, your decisions will be slow, uncertain. This is why I did not just train my body. I designed my mind with the same precision, the same intensity. Every morning before my first punch was thrown, my mind was already in training. I called this my mental preparation phase. 15 minutes of deep breathing, clearing distractions, sharpening focus. I would visualize my movements, my reactions, my perfect execution. This was not imagination. It was programming. I was conditioning my mind to expect nothing but precision, to see success before it happened. A warrior who hesitates is already defeated. A mind trained in clarity makes decisions instantly, without doubt. Throughout the day, I engaged in active mental training. I was constantly aware of my thoughts, immediately correcting any weakness, any hesitation. If I noticed fear creeping in, I confronted it. If I caught myself doubting, I silenced it with action. The mind is like a muscle. It can be trained, refined, sharpened. One of my key exercises was the 5-second rule. When faced with a decision, I gave myself no more than 5 seconds to act. Indecision is the enemy of progress. The faster you commit, the faster you grow. But decision-making alone is not enough. You must train your perspective, your ability to see beyond your own viewpoint. To develop this, I practiced reverse perspective training. An hour spent seeing every situation from my opponent's point of view. How would they move? What were their weaknesses? How could I anticipate their choices before they even made them? This is how you stay ahead, not by reacting, but by thinking one step beyond. At night, I engaged in my most critical training, the reality check system. This was my personal review, where I analyzed every thought, every action of the day. I asked myself, did I remain disciplined? Did I allow hesitation? Where did my mind fail me? I wrote down insights, adjustments, strategies for improvement. Growth is not accidental. It is engineered, built brick by brick through awareness and correction. The greatest discovery I made in mental training was this: discipline is not about forcing yourself to think a certain way. It is about carving mental pathways so strong, so automatic, that the right thoughts emerge naturally. Just as a trained fighter does not think before blocking a punch, he simply reacts, A trained mind does not hesitate before making the right decision. It flows effortlessly with certainty. This is what most people misunderstand about mindset. They think mental strength is about control, about forcing themselves to be confident, to be fearless. But true mental mastery is not about force. It is about clarity. It is about stripping away doubt, hesitation, distraction, until only pure action remains. Like water flowing through a river, the mind, when trained properly, moves without resistance, without effort. So I ask you, how are you training your mind? Are you sharpening it daily, refining it with discipline, testing it under pressure? Or are you letting it wander, uncontrolled, weakened by hesitation and doubt? Remember, the body follows the mind. If you train your mind to be unstoppable, your body will follow. If you master your thoughts, you will master your life. Many people believe success is about choosing one path, one approach, one solution. You see, they tell us to choose between strength or speed, discipline or creativity, rigidity or flexibility. These are false choices, illusion. I've spent my life studying martial arts and philosophy, and in doing so, I have come to realize that the true power lies not in choosing between these opposites, but in transcending them. True mastery, in any form, doesn't come from limiting yourself to a single side of the coin. It comes from learning how to integrate both sides. You must break the illusion of these false opposites. Let's start with strength and speed. In martial arts, many believe that one must choose. Do I develop explosive power, or do I focus on agility and speed? Strength is often associated with brute force, crushing power that overwhelms the opponent. Speed, on the other hand, is linked to evasion, fluidity, and quick strikes. But let me ask you, what if you don't have to choose? I have always said, absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. Strength and speed both are useful. Why limit yourself to just one when both can serve you? The power of a fast strike can be amplified with the foundation of strength, and the force of a strong punch can be made more effective with speed. Strength gives you impact, but speed allows you to strike first, to remain unpredictable, to control the flow of energy. Combine them, and you create a force that is not just powerful, but unstoppable. The key is knowing when to use each one, and understanding that both are needed to truly dominate. Now let's talk about discipline and creativity. Many believe that discipline means following strict rules, adhering to routines with no room for flexibility. Creativity, on the other hand, is seen as free-flowing, spontaneous, and without boundary. In the world of martial arts, discipline is often revered as the backbone of success. Without it, you lack focus, structure, and direction. Creativity, meanwhile, is often dismissed as impractical, something for artists, not warriors. But here is the truth. Discipline and creativity must coexist. Discipline without creativity becomes mechanical, like a machine with no heart. Creativity without discipline is chaos, a dance without rhythm. You must master both. The disciplined mind provides the framework, the structure needed to grow, while creativity gives the soul, the spark to move beyond the rules. I trained for years, following strict routines, pushing my body to the limit. But just as important, I never stopped exploring new ways to express myself, new methods to combine techniques, new ways to break boundaries. That's how true mastery arises, not from rigidity, but from the ability to break through the walls you've built and build new ones. In life, we are faced with many false opposites. The idea that we must choose between love or logic, emotion or reason, passion or purpose. These are illusions that confine us to limited thinking, to a world of dualities. To break the illusion, you must see beyond the false choices. Strength and speed, discipline and creativity, they are not enemies, they are partners. You must learn to unite them, to integrate them into your life and your work. When you do this, you will find true power, the power of balance, the power of integration. This is the true path to mastery, not choosing one over the other, but understanding how to harmonize the opposites within you. Break the illusion, and you will become limitless. Remember, there is no opponent, no limit, but yourself. We are constantly surrounded by examples of others. Teachers, mentors, heroes, and idols, each of whom inspires us to reach for greatness. But here's the truth I have learned through my own journey. Don't seek to be like me, seek to be like you at your highest potential. This is a lesson I have lived by, and it is the core of what I believe true freedom and mastery are about. We live in a world full of expectations and comparisons. We are taught to measure our success against others, to conform to ideas, to follow patterns that have been laid out before us. But these paths are not your own. They may lead you to some form of achievement, but they won't lead you to the greatness that lies within you. True greatness comes from understanding who you are, from diving into your own depths and discovering your unique path. The journey toward your highest potential requires courage. The courage to look beyond the surface, to ignore the external noise, and to find your own voice. You see, many people live their lives looking to others for guidance, trying to emulate their success, their methods, their ways of being. It's an understandable instinct. After all, we want to succeed, and we think that following in someone else's footsteps is the way to do it. But what happens when you try to walk someone else's path? You can never walk it as they did. You will stumble, you will struggle, and in the end you will realize that their path wasn't made for you. The only path that is truly made for you is your own. This is where self-discovery comes in. It's not about following trends or mimicking the successes of others. It's about looking inward and understanding who you are at your core. What drives you? What makes you feel alive? What sets your soul on fire? These are the questions that matter. Most people never take the time to ask them, too caught up in the pursuit of external validation or the fear of failure. But it is in those quiet moments of self-reflection that you will find the strength to truly chart your course. It is in knowing who you are and what you stand for that you will find the courage to walk your own path, no matter how difficult or uncertain it may seem. I have always said, absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. This is the essence of self-discovery. It means understanding that there is wisdom to be gained from others, but also recognizing that what works for someone else may not work for you. You must take what resonates with you, what aligns with your values and your goals, and leave the rest behind. This is how you cultivate your own unique style, your own way of thinking, your own way of being. And when you do this, you begin to move toward your highest potential. But this path is not easy. It requires constant self-examination, the willingness to fail, and the courage to rise again. Along the way, you will face obstacles and challenges, and there will be times when you feel lost or uncertain. The world may try to push you into molds, to define you in terms of success and failure, strength and weakness, right and wrong. But you must resist this pressure. Your path is not defined by external measures of success. It is defined by your commitment to yourself, to your growth, and to your own evolution. Freedom comes from within. It comes from the courage to step away from the crowd and create a life that is true to who you are. When you embrace your uniqueness, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop looking outside for validation and start looking within for strength. This is the essence of freedom, to live life on your terms without fear, without limitation, and without hesitation. It is the freedom to become the person you were always meant to be, not the person others expect you to be. So I urge you, don't seek to be like me. Seek to be like you. Seek to find the courage to walk your own path, to trust yourself, and to become the highest version of yourself. In doing so, you will find true freedom, and with that freedom comes the power to shape your destiny. Your potential is limitless, but it will only be realized when you have the courage to let go of others' expectations and embrace the path that is uniquely yours. The journey will not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. The greatest freedom in life is not found in imitation, but in self-discovery, and in that discovery, you will find your highest potential.